Now I've completed the sectioning for the one length with graduation, and as you will be able to see, the sectioning is going to be the same as the sectioning for the one length. So we've got a triangular fringe section. We've separated it from the top of the head to right behind the ear. We've got our 4 sections at the back, okay? One section right behind the ear. This section, these 2 sections in the middle, all right? And then another section right behind the ear again. And as you can see how I've combed the hair, following the way that the hair is growing. And then our last section from the top of the head to the fringe section here. When I do the layering at the back, my balance point where I must not go any higher is right underneath the occipital bone here. Because if I go above the occipital bone, then what's going to happen is I'm going to create a flat look, because my line will come down, it'll stop here, the occipital bone is going to push this hair out, and it will create a flat look at the back. And what I want is I want a really nice rounded look. When I come through and I do my layering, the sections that I take here are going to be straight across, and I'm going to be pulling the hair straight out from the head. And after I've pulled the hair straight out from the head, you will see me turn my fingers so that the line between my fingers is in line with the design line that I want to end up with. Okay, so this was going to be straight across here, and then when I get over to my side back section, this is where I'm going to start the angle for my A line. Okay, so we're going to start at the back. We're going to take our first section. Again, look for where the hair bends into the neck, subdivide, pull this hair straight out from the head. Turn the fingers so the fingers are in line with this line here, and then cut. Okay, and then the second, do exactly the same thing. So it's basically pulling straight out and then turning, all right? And I'm going to do that until my line of graduation gets to just underneath the occipital bone. Turn and cut. Now, the thing that I'm not doing here is I'm not following the shape of the head, because I'm actually wanting to come out in this position. So if I was following the shape of the head, I'd be making this hair here as short as this hair here down here, and I don't want to do that, okay? So my fingers are not parallel with the shape of the head. But I am putting a tremendous amount of tension on here, especially with the kind of hair that Robin has, because Robin's hair is very, very fine. So if I don't put tension on it, then when I blow the hair dry, I'm not going to get the bounce that I want. Now, my line of graduation is just underneath the occipital bone. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this hair down to that line, because now I don't want to graduate it up any higher. So I'm pulling it straight out from the head, and then I bring my fingers down with my fingers resting right against the head. The fingers against the head is preventing me from cutting the hair above the occipital bone. Drag the hair down, fingers against the head. Drag the hair down, fingers right against the head. And you see how I am combing this hair. We can see how that hair moves, okay? Because now I'm really basically cutting a one length. So everything, all the rules and regulations that we were talking about in method number 3, about root movement, growth pattern, combing the hair, see, it applies in this situation, and yet we're doing a totally different system altogether, totally different haircut. But this is what I was talking about in the very beginning. Now, when we come over to do the right-hand side of the center back. I'm going to do exactly the same thing, except this time my fingers are pointing downwards. So I'm going to be pulling the hair out and then turning, out and then turning, okay? When I get to underneath the occipital bone, keep my parting in the same way, straight across, subdivide, but this time I'm dragging. There's my guideline. You see, I can't go wrong. Turn, fingers against the head, and then cut. Okay, I'm up by the crown. Watch how I'm combing this hair. It's moving over towards the left-hand side. That's how it has to be combed. Subdivide, drag it down, turn, fingers against the head. So now, what I've done is I've graduated all the way up to right underneath the occipital bone, and we can see a line right through here, okay? Now, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to come into the side back section, and this is where we're actually going to start the A line. So now my parting is going to be at an angle going all the way up, okay, until I reach this point here, and then I'm going to bring all of this hair down to that point. You take the first section at an angle, subdivide, pull the hair straight out from the head, turn my fingers so that my fingers are in line with that angle there. Next section, straight out and turn. Next section, straight out and turn. The turning is very subtle, as you can see. As we get further and further up the back of the head, the turning becomes a lot more prominent. Okay, there's our section. Subdivide, straight out from the head, there's my guideline, turn and cut. Take the next section, straight out and cut. So it's basically the same movement all the way through, so that you see I've got that line happening that I want. And by doing it this way, I feel that I have perfect control over my haircut, which is what I want. Okay, I don't want any over direction in this. I want to know that when I let this hair go, that line is going to be constant all the way through. I'll take my next section. Now I'm going to bring everything down. Okay, because obviously I don't want the side back section to be as high as the middle back section, because we want to leave the sides as long as they are, but we want to have that connection all the way through. Do you see my parting is always parallel with my design line? When I bring this hair down, I am following the root system. I'm following the way that the hair is growing. I am not trying to make this hair do anything that it doesn't want to do by itself. I'm just carving my shape into the way that the hair is falling. Now you see how the hair here is moving way over? All right, my parting is still the same, but I'm combing it. You know, some of this is now falling into the side section. And so if that's where it falls, that's where it's going to be cut. I mean, I'm not going to take this hair and drag it back into here because I feel like this is where it should be because I'm cutting the back section. I've got to do what this hair tells me to do. So this way, what's nice about the system is that it makes us very, very unmechanical hair cutters. So the thing that I have to remember is that whatever design line I'm cutting into the hair has to be designed within the growth pattern of the hair itself. And I remember to do this with every single haircut that I do. Because for me, when I'm cutting hair, what I have noticed is that the hair will always do what it wants to do. It will always win in the end. So rather than try to battle it and make it do what I want it to do, the whole reason behind this system, behind this philosophy, is to really carve the shape into the way that the hair is growing. Then no matter what the client does, whether or not she blows it dry or just lets it air dry, okay, the style that I have created is always going to be there. So you see here, okay, I am combing this hair completely over to the side section. When I blow this hair dry, I have to remember that I have to go through and I have to recut it again, because this hair will fall back. And the time to recut it is going to be when the hair is dry. You can see where my graduation has ended. But the most important thing is to notice how the hair is combed, following the way that the hair is growing. So now when we come in to do the side section, the side section is done in exactly the same way as we cut method number 3. We take our parting, we bring it down, we're going to follow the way that the hair is growing, and we're going to cut so that this line is going to blend in with the line that we've taken at the back. So bringing down my last section, cutting everything right against the skin, combing the hair forward and then down. So that that line follows all the way through to the front. With the fringe in the front, as you can see, we've taken it into our triangular section again. And what we want to do is we want to do a straight across fringe. So I'm going to section the hair off, following the hairline. And when I do a straight across fringe, I don't actually cut it straight across. It's actually cut into a point in the middle, in the center, and then when I blow it dry, because the head rounds, that will square the fringe off, okay? So everything is going to be cut right against the skin, and then cut up like that. Bring this down, and then cut up. Okay, bring the next sections down. Still in that triangle, okay? This is really, really important because we want to be able to follow the hairline so that we're bringing down even distributions of hair, and the triangle here allows us to only cut to where the fringe ends so that we're not picking up any of the side section. And bring it down, cut to exactly the same length. Okay, I'm following the way that the hair is growing. I'm not just bringing this fringe down, straight down. Okay, this moves over here, this moves here. Okay, bring my last section down. Follow that growth pattern. Bring the hair down. So when I bring this hair down, you can see how the fringe stops exactly where I want it to. And none of this fringe is going to be channeling into the side section. And so now we're ready to blow dry. Now when I blow dry, I'm going to blow dry in exactly the same way as I blew dry method number 3. We're going to be blowing dry with a product called Straighten, which is silicone based. This will give the hair a tremendous amount of shine, and it will also work advantageously in blending the one length with the layering here underneath. Okay, so we're going to get a really, really nice blend with this particular product. Okay, now you don't need to use that much. Okay, take one pump, emulsify it into your hands or run it through the hair. Okay, after we put the product into the hair, we're now ready to blow dry. And I'm going to blow dry with exactly the same system as I used for method number 3. I'm going to be putting the brush right in at the root, pulling out, lifting, and turning. Okay? Okay, now remember we have combed the hair and cut the hair for the way that the hair is growing. Now we have to go with the fall line. Okay, so we're going to finish the haircut off in exactly the same way as we did with method number 3. Okay, you see I have these overlaps here, which is what I want, because if I have the overlaps, then that is telling me that I've cut the hair for the way that it's growing. If I have no overlaps at all, my line is going to have been disappeared, okay, and it's going to tell me that I haven't followed the root system. So I must have these overlaps. So section the hair off, and it's usually only the very top section that moves. Okay, I see my line here. There's my overlap, okay, and take it off. Next section, lift it out, take my overlap off. Then you see when I'm lifting that hair, that line disappears and I've got a beautiful shape. And then we can take this off here. A little bit of scissor over comb so that we keep this really nice and soft at the base, so that hair just flows really nicely into the neck. Totally clean that up so that it is basically straight across. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a very, very small amount of the bedazzled from the organic line, just one drop, and emulsify it into my hands. Okay, so just gently run it through the hair. Okay, and what this does is it makes the hair very, very, very silky, and it gives it an incredible shine. I want to thank you very much for watching this tape, and I hope that some of the techniques that I have explained you are going to be able to add to your own system of hair cutting, because that is really basically the idea, is to take some of my techniques, if they make sense to you, add them to your own system of hair cutting so that your haircuts have that sharpness to them.